NASA leader Raila Odinga is under immense pressure to explain why he secretly met President Uhuru Kenyatta last Friday without the knowledge of core principals Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. Already a section of NASA leaders and supporters feel Raila betrayed them by choosing to work with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Even as yesterday's tense meeting, it appeared that Odinga is yet to fully convince the brigade, with NASA affiliate parties set to deeply interrogate the matter and chart the way forward. Is Raila reinventing himself, or is the end of NASA after months of sustained anti-Jubilee government? Welcome to Political Point this morning, and introducing the panel that we have this morning. To my extreme left, we have Barack Muluka, and we also have Edwin Sifuna, who's the Secretary General for Orange Democratic Movement. Gentlemen,
I take exception. I must also be introduced as Secretary
General for ANC.
But you are allowed to be confused. There is two of them. My good friend Osotsi is also introduced as Secretary General of ANC.
He is a lawyer, and therefore he ought to know about what the
intrigues,
legal position is.
And what is the legal position? You are the
legal
Secretary
position
General.
Is that my good friend and colleague Godfrey Osotsi has gone before the political parties tribunal to contest my appointment as Secretary General, and which is in order, because the laws of the land say that anyone who is not satisfied can do that. But he also knows, as a lawyer whom we respect a lot in this country, Mr. Edwin Sifuna here, that substantively I'm the Secretary General
of ANC.
Yes.
All right, that is settled. So I take that again, and Barack Muluka, the Secretary General for ANC. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on Political
you have
Point.
two SGs today.
And let me start with you, Barack Muluka, on the recent development. Not too long ago, you are on record as giving an account of what happened when the 30th there was the swearing in of Raila Odinga, and it sounded like you felt there was deception. Is that the correct position as per that time?
I tried to avoid using a value-loaded idiom. And even now I can see that there's a lot of value-loaded
But
idiom.
Can we call a spade a spade? If there was untruthfulness, then it's just that, untruthfulness.
Okay, I know that the anchor is going to give us the opportunity to cogitate, and the audience the opportunity to hear, and that we will not get into arguments. Even now I've had a value-loaded idiom with regard to the meeting which the principals held yesterday. One would almost imagine that the journalists who are reporting were inside that chamber, and that they saw how it was a very heated argument, and they saw how the principals put one of them under intense heat. These are value-loaded idioms that one should use when one has got the evidence. Regardless, on that material day, on a different show, in a different station, I stated the facts to the best of my knowledge as they were, and I would state them to the high heavens, restate until the ends of the times, that as far as I know, there was unfinished business. And we were waiting somewhere for the captain to come, so that together with the other leaders, they would finish that business, and then together they would proceed to Uhuru Park. And when they would get to Uhuru Park, either he would be sworn in, or they would explain to the gathering why he should not be sworn in. And that did not happen.
Okay, so would you say there was untruthfulness? I just want the simple...
I leave that to what Wole Soyinka would call the interpreters. Your interpretation is as good as mine. At this level, I want to stay with the facts. And the interpretation, I leave to other people.
So as Secretary General of ANC, do you feel like the party was betrayed?
No, I think you are trying to put words in
No, I just want to find out from you what your perspective is.
To reach out to me, I will stay with the facts, keep to the facts, and remain with the facts.
Okay.
And I will leave other people to interpret whichever way they would like to do.
All right, Edwin, the developments, of course, from Friday have been quite fast. Did they get you as Secretary General of Orange Democratic Movement by surprise, but more importantly, the way forward?
Personally, I was not surprised because as Secretary General of the party, I have regular briefings with my party leader every Monday. So on the Monday preceding the Friday, we had a meeting with him at Orange House together with the Executive Director of ODM. And we were briefed on these developments. The when and the where were the only things that were left unaddressed. For us, and I'm happy that this morning my brother Barack is showing some level of restraint, that he will not repeat the words that he has said previously. Because some of us have watched in bemusement as they try to explain their whereabouts on the 30th. One of the things that I suspect Barack knows is that I know more truth than he does, and which is why today he has chosen to take the path that he has.
So is his account accurate?
Firstly, because Barack Muluka knows that I'm a member of the technical committee for NASA. He occasionally attends meetings. Barack Muluka knows that I was a member of the swearing-in committee. He wasn't. So when he goes on TV and speaks what he claims to be his truth, some of us are left in bemusement. We will give him time, because you know these issues, they also require time and reflection.
As a member of the swearing-in committee, is his account accurate?
When Barack Muluka tells the country the truth, we will agree with him and tell him that is the truth now. But you can see the kind of narratives that have been put out. For us, we are really not concerned about the 30th. I saw my senior, Musalia Mudavadi, claim that the biggest question from Friday was where the three principles were. I doubt, and I have moved across the breadth of the country in the period between Friday and today. I was in Kisii on Friday, I was in Homa Bay, I was in Kendo Bay on Sunday, and I was in Kisumu as well. The biggest question was not where the three principles were. That was the biggest question on the 30th. On Friday, the biggest question was, what is this? What is happening? Where is this taking us? And it has been made more than abundantly clear, Mike, that what happened on Friday is a statement of intent from two gentlemen who have come to appreciate that given the history of this country and their specific roles, even historical roles from their parents as well, which was acknowledged in their statement, that they have decided that all the evils that have flown from their political battles have to end with them as a generation, that nobody is going to inherit the so-called Kenyatta Odinga beef, that nobody is going to inherit any of the problems that have fermented out of that relationship, if you will. So when leaders come and sit down and say, and for us as ODM, we see it as a serious concession from Uhuru and his party of the problems that face us as a country. Because when we have been talking about corruption, for instance, they have been saying there's no corruption in government. When we've been saying this country is deeply divided, the opportunities are not coming to everyone, each and every one of us, based on merit, but that tribalism is rife. There is an acceptance. That document is not an ODM or NASA document. It is a statement that has been signed by the President of the Republic and the President of the people. So it is a major concession for us, and we see it as a statement of intent, which has been made very clear, that going forward, we will have opportunity for us to sit and to talk about these issues that affect us.
All right, and maybe just to take you back a little bit, the reason why the 30th would be important in many people's eyes is just to interrogate whether there has been a consistent dishonesty, really, in terms of the four principles. Yes, they stand together when they give a statement, but it looks like right from the word go, there was a bit of disagreement or dishonesty, if I can just call a spade, from some of them when there are things being done behind others' backs.
What I will say is this, there was a point I was encouraged when Musalia Mudavadi went to see Atwoli. And if Atwoli is to be believed, Mudavadi told him the truth as to why he didn't show up on 30th, and even apologized, and he was forgiven, which I want to encourage him. As the Luhya nation, there are people who are always ready to forgive. You see, we say in Kiluya that even an errant child is still your child. All he needs to do is to level with the people. I mean, people understand that human emotions are natural. So it is not for you to, and you can see even the public will not buy all these stories that Barack was telling them about the Nigerian number. They want the truth. And when you tell the truth always sets you free.
All right, Barack, your truth also being put in question here. But anyway, you say that is your truth and you'll stick by it. And
Look, the truth is God, and God is the truth. And we are seeing here a consistent record and trait of an individual who does things behind other people's backs. And it did not start yesterday. Edwin Sifuna was a toddler in 2002 when Raila Odinga on the 14th day of October signed a pact with Simeon Nyachae at the Serena. And they proceeded to Uhuru Park. He has no memory of that, and so he can come here and start leveling personalized assaults against me. And when they got there, and go and read it in Simeon Nyachae's autobiography, he says Raila Odinga from nowhere came up and said, Mwai Kibaki anatosha. And Nyachae says, I did not know that while we were talking to him, he was also having other discussions with the Mwai Kibaki-led Democratic Party of Kenya. But you can go even further earlier, when he was even a smaller toddler, in 1997, that after that election, the collective opposition came together. Mwai Kibaki, Charity Ngilu, Michael Wamalwa, and they got into a pact. Unbeknown to them, Raila Odinga was having another meeting with Moi in Cabernet Gardens. And all these things are properly documented. So if we want to call a spade, we are talking about a consistent history. And it's also true that these gentlemen, including Sifuna here, including Norman Magaya, were calling each one of these three principles individually, and they were telling them that we are here with Kalonzo and with the captain, and now we are ready to go to Uhuru Park. And they called also Moses Wetangula, they said the same. They called Kalonzo, they said the same. There was some very strange choreography here. And this issue of people being told to switch off their phones and to be contacted on alternative numbers, they are the truth in the name of God. And so when Edwin Sifuna comes here and he thinks that diversionary, personalized attacks against me are going to change the truth
remains the truth.
Will remain the same. And he says here, and I think Kenyans need to interrogate this, that he was always informed of the facts that his principal was already in conversation with President Kenyatta. And yet, when the other three principals were consistently saying, let us have dialogue, Edwin Sifuna and other youthful hotheads were climbing on rooftops, and they were saying, we don't want dialogue with anybody. They were saying that it's cowards who are asking for dialogue. How do they then engage in an acrobatic feat in the mid-space and suddenly become heroes because they have embraced dialogue?
Edwin, your defense to that, and question many Kenyans probably are asking, is the sudden change of tune simply because Raila Odinga has gone and had whatever meeting they had with Uhuru, now suddenly it's become easy that we can work together, and that of course leaves Kenyans wondering what was all the noise and hullabaloo about when suddenly it's all quieted?
Firstly, sometimes I listen to Barack. Honestly, the emotion that overwhelms me is bemusement. I feel like just dying in laughter. First of all, in 1997, he says I was a toddler. I'm a Bukusu man. I was circumcised in 1996. I had undergone all the rituals that ushered me into manhood in 1996. I think I need to have opportunity to speak.
All right. Barack, allow him to
let me
get
make
his
my point
across. But gentlemen, I'll also request that we don't dwell too much on this because we want to, although history is important.
That's the point I'm making.
It's important.
That's the point I'm making.
Because it will lead us to where we are heading.
Mike, allow me to make my point because I listened very quietly when he was speaking.
Go right ahead.
In 97, I had already been ushered into manhood by my clan and my community. So he has no locus standi to question whether I was a toddler or not. In 2002, that was the first election that I was eligible to vote. When he is talking here, I don't know where Barack was in 2002, but I was at Uhuru Park when that declaration was made. When Kibaki was coming back from London after his treatment after the accident, I walked together with my uncle Lawrence Sifuna, who was then a member of parliament, from the airport, just the way that we did with Raila when he came back from the US. On both of those occasions, Barack Muluka was not there. So, as much as he likes to invoke seniority, there are things that he doesn't know. Number two, I have made very clear that I was a member of the swearing-in committee. When he says myself and Norman were calling Wetangula and Mudavadi, in fact, he doesn't know that we were doing it out of very selfish interests as lawyers. We were trying to save our brothers. We were aware that Kalonzo had made it clear that he was not coming for the swearing-in ceremony. So we said, what can we do as people who are on this table for our community? We called every person who is around Musalia Mudavadi, and of course except him, because I know the kind of attitude that he had taken towards the swearing-in ceremony. We told them that by God, whatever it is you do, even if it is to carry this gentleman physically to Uhuru Park,
get him there.
Get him there. So when the history of the Luhya nation is written, the person who sank Musalia Mudavadi is no other than Barack Muluka. So when people are asking, was all this so-called noise hula baloo? And they say, oh, you have forgotten about all the people who died. These people do not know what they are talking about, just like it has been demonstrated this morning. Mike, we have walked this journey with you. When, after the election, the police were shooting our people in the houses, I was there myself personally. We had a convoy of MPs who went into Kibera to try and ascertain what the situation is. When we were picking bodies from houses with their skulls open from tear gas canisters and bullets, these people were not there. Now, somehow, we are the ones, when we sit at the table, we will forget, or we have forgotten, that we buried all these people. We saw the images of baby Pendo lying there in her casket. These are matters that are going to be articulated at these particular talks. If you criticize a journey at its beginning, you have not seen its end. And then, as a lawyer again, I have said it, that when a document, when an agreement is reduced into writing, you're not allowed to bring extraneous oral evidence to explain its contents. What we know is that there are two things that are happening. Many Kenyans don't like to read. And others, because of their prejudice, even when this headline is put in front of their eyes, they don't see it because their vision is blurred by prejudice. There is nowhere in that document that was signed between Uhuru and Raila where it allocates any position for Raila Odinga. Yet, my brother Muluka has been going around TV stations saying it creates an office for Raila Odinga.
All right, then
there is a clear delineation of the issues of corruption, of inclusivity, of tribalism,
all right,
of divisive elections that will be ventilated.
Allow me to ask you then, what does it mean to work together with Jubilee?
It does not say we are working together with Jubilee. Where does it say? Because you see, this is the oral evidence you're introducing into a document, yet the document should speak for itself. It has said that these two leaders have recognized and they have set out the history of all these issues and how they have impacted on the Kenyan social fabric. There is nowhere that says NASA or ODM or Raila is joining Jubilee or cooperating with Jubilee. No, they have said as leaders of our respective
parties,
not even parties,
coalition,
leaders in our respective rights. As leaders, we have decided that it is time for us to explore a discussion as a country about these issues that have pushed us to the brink where some of us were thinking of splitting the country so that everybody can stay in their own quota.
All right. Barack, do you agree that we are adding onto the document that has been put forward that it's not necessarily working with Jubilee?
First of all, since matters of initiation have been brought up, it is important that Edwin Sifuna recognizes that he's talking to people who are initiated not in 1996, but in the 1960s. So he's talking basically to people who danced with his parents. And I think that is very important and critical, since he has invoked his Luhyaness and his Luhyahood. I danced with your parents. Okay.
Having said that.
Having said that, there's nothing that we are adding to these things. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, His Excellency, the President, is President on a Jubilee ticket. And these gentlemen were saying they were not recognizing him because Jubilee stole the election. And I think all of us were beholden in that belief that Kenyatta was not legitimate. And we were saying, let us have a national conversation on these issues. But they were saying, no, no. In fact, there are things which I would say, but let me not go that far. Let me not even look into the issues of people like Miguna calling themselves generals and all that. And we are talking about a conversation, the need for conversation. And some people are calling us cowards. And then suddenly, they take the position that we have been taking. And now we are being told that, in fact, all along, we were already talking to Kenyatta. What was so difficult about saying we have embraced this thinking of yours, meanwhile, allow us to carry on with the conversation and we will keep you posted. I think there's something very sinister about this. And whichever way you look at it, you cannot say that you are not working with Jubilee. Kenyatta is a president on a Jubilee platform, on a Jubilee ticket. And there's nothing wrong with working with him. All you need to do is to say, we are working with him. We have accepted to embrace dialogue. What is so sinister? In terms of an office, that document which was released on Friday last week says that an office will be created, complete with advisors. We don't know whose office it is. We don't know whether it's going to be a secretariat. We don't know whether that secretariat is going to be headed by the two gentlemen who are putting it together. We don't know whether it's going to be headed by Honorable Raila Odinga or by Edwin Zufuna or by some other person. So an office is going to be created. It is written there in black and white. Everyone can see it. And if you are denying that, then the people who have seen that document out there can tell who is lying here and who is not.
Edwin, you say that it's not working with Uhuru Kenyatta or with Jubilee, but let me just read point 5 of this document, which is called Building the Bridges.
Yes.
And it says, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and His Excellency Raila Odinga have agreed to roll out a program that will implement their shared objectives.
Yes.
Shared objectives.
The shared objectives.
And how do they roll it out together if they're not working together?
The shared objectives have been stated in the document itself. They have identified the historical path that the country has taken and the issues that have bedeviled us, and they have highlighted the same, that a discussion is going to be had around those issues.
Okay.
And in fact, I like people who concede a point, but then go ahead again to make a contrary observation. Barack himself admits he does not know what that office is about.
And you know,
but
he does not know.
Here,
and that is the beauty.
And,
you see,
and maybe let's speak your legal mind. Let me read the next. Allow me to just read the next statement because it's what you're coming to.
Yes.
The program shall establish an office to retain a retinue of advisors to assist in the implementation.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. You see, even when you were born years ahead of me and you lose your sight, it is a small child who holds your hand to cross the road. So it doesn't matter if you dance with my parents. If you have become blind, I will lead you across. And I'm telling you, it is good for you to admit that you do not know what it is about. And which is why you are being encouraged to be patient. Because there's two gentlemen there, the Ambassador Kimani and our own Paul Mwangi, who have been tasked with putting together modalities for these discussions to be able to happen. Those discussions will need support in terms of secretariat, in terms of people who have expertise in trying to bring these issues to the fore. And this is where our partners and our friends are jumping the gun. Because somebody has initiated a process And Raila Odinga has never left the people behind. In every single thing that he does, he's going to include the people. All
Except
the voices.
when you went to meet Uhuru, he left.
That's what I'm saying. So you wanted Raila to call a rally of 1 million people in Uhuru Park, then march. No.
But surely
you see, you are being absurd.
No,
you are being absurd.
No.
If there is a meeting, for instance, I have my own supporters.
No, Sifuna,
I came to this show to have a discussion with him.
Yes.
Did you expect me to come with 1,000 people?
No, let's call a spade. But if they're working together, then the other three principles do represent a constituency.
That's what I'm saying.
So by virtue of representing that constituency, if he consulted them, he's including those people.
This is what I'm telling you.
Excluding the leaders there, then he's excluding those people in that particular meeting. This is what I am
telling you. A leadership initiative has been taken by the two senior-most politicians in the country right now. People who represent all sorts of interests. I am telling you, you cannot sit here and say that the constituency that you are claiming are represented by all these other people are not represented by Raila Odinga. Which are these constituencies that Raila Odinga does not represent? And when people talk, you would imagine that they would bring special knowledge to some of these issues, yet it is questionable whether certain people would actually be of additional value in terms of the discourse if they were at the table. So people need to be patient. This is a process that is going to include everyone. And Raila has stated as much. It says so in the document. So I don't know why people are jumping the gun. Let us give this an opportunity. And if you heard the statement that was issued yesterday by the NASA Technical Committee, they said they are giving this an opportunity, a chance. We have not suspended our course of action that was that we had embarked upon. The People's Assembly process has been suspended temporarily to provide an avenue or an environment for these newfound talks to thrive. Mm-hmm. So if in the event it turns out that there was no goodwill from either party, that somehow the issues that we hold dear are not being addressed through this particular process, then we will revert to the processes that we had embarked on.
Okay, Barack, there's nothing wrong, I guess, then in giving due time to this particular development to take place and suspending, for instance, like the People's Assembly, for the benefit of this newly found arrangement.
Mike, I think any initiative that seeks to bring Kenyans around a negotiating table is welcome.
Correct.
Including this particular initiative. It is welcome. But as you correctly ask my son here, Sifuna, was it not true that Raila Odinga was working with others? Should he not have informed them? And if anyone has doubted previously, when we have stated that he has done certain things, including taking himself to Uhuru Park and swearing himself in without informing others, here is an indication, clear proof, that you're talking about a person who will take critical decisions without informing the others. Yesterday, the People's Assemblies were suspended. The other principals were not aware. It's once again keeping in that same avenue, that flow of doing things. And let's just accept it. And here, first I want to state that, again, to the best of my knowledge, some of the things which the press has reported have been blown out of proportion. Because the truth of the matter is that these principals agreed in principle about the initiative that Raila Odinga has taken. They also agreed that there's need for a perpetual consultation. They agreed on the need to involve party organs. And it's not exactly true to say that there is a stalemate. And to say, to the best of my knowledge, that ODM is going to bolt out or NASA is going to collapse and all that. But the need for people to consult and to agree and to travel together when they are in a coalition cannot be overemphasized.
All right.
Mike, let me just clarify one thing.
Yes, we need to take a break, though.
All the constituent parties are supposed to have representation in the NASA Technical Committee. Barack Muluka sometimes appears to represent ANC and Musalia Mudavadi at those meetings. Yesterday, there was a meeting of that technical committee. He chose to go to Manzoni for a meeting of a summit which he's not a member of. And then he comes and says that ANC was not aware of the postponements of a People's Assembly. You can see the kind of things that we have to deal with.
All right.
Because
Sifuna,
it's dishonest.
I'll request that we
It's
take a break.
dishonest.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, what I want us to look at is also the future of Kenya, because this is not just about Jubilee and NASA or ODM. It is really about the future of Kenya. We've got some glaring things that need to be sorted out. A united nation, reforms, electoral reforms, economic growth, rampant graft. Those are some of the things that Kenyans would like to know how they're going to be addressed, and we'll see how that pans out with here. So for now, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back on The Political Point.